All right, so this year we are going through the book, The 8 Paradoxes of Great Leadership. You received a copy of this when you last year when you joined our team. If you've got it, I would encourage you to bring it. What we will do is, in these times, I'm going to give probably a 10-minute overview of what I received out of the book without plagiarizing Tim Elmore. So I'm giving him all the credit right now. Dr. Elmore wrote the book, but my job is to give about a 10-minute overview, and then what I want is kind of a discussion based on, hey, what are some key things that maybe popped out to you in that chapter? So it is not like you've got to read an extra 40 pages a night like you might be in humanities or U.S. history or any other class like that. It is more of, hey, this is a pretty easy read, but it's more about what you get out of it. So why do we have these BZ principles? Well, we've got them because we want you to have timely and timeless leadership topics. Because it's good for today, but it's going to be beneficial tomorrow. So the whole idea that we talk about today of confidence and humility, that will be good for today. Yes, you ought to be confident, and yes, you ought to have humility, but when you become a spouse, or you become a parent, or you're working for an organization, the idea of, are you a confident employee and are you a humble employee? Because we've all seen the other. We've all seen the cocky employees or the cocky friends, and you're like, I don't really want to be around you. And then we've also seen the people that just have this false sense of humility. I can do nothing right. I can do nothing right. You know, kind of those people that tear themselves down all the time. So there is a paradox between those two. So we do BZ principles because of that, because we know the Lord is going to put you in a situation one day that you're going to have confidence and humility. And you're going to have these topics. So that's why we do them. It's not just to get up at 7 a.m., or for me, 5 a.m. this morning, or for you, some of you, 6:55, and you roll in. That's cool. It's not just to get up early, but it's the practice and it's the discipline of developing yourself as a leader. And that is something that requires work. All right? So today, we're going to go through paradox number 1. And basically, paradox number 1 is uncommon leaders balance both confidence and humility. So uncommon leaders balance both confidence and humility. In the book, which the reason why I love the book too, the first story in the book is about Disney. So come on, like this has got to be a great book. But the first story in the book is a perfect example of confidence and humility and how they work together. Michael Eisner took over Walt Disney in 1984. He took over, Disney was floundering. They were going to go bankrupt, which is hard to believe now that Walt Disney the Disney company would have gone bankrupt. But in the 80s, it was going there. Paramount was bigger. Universal was bigger. So here comes Michael Eisner, big personality. Big personality, a lot of confidence. Did great for a while because he had this guy with him who was his COO. And then what happened is, Frank Wells was his name, and then what happens, Frank died in an accident. And so when Frank was there, he would keep Michael Eisner's confidence under control, going, Michael, you're kind of crazy, so calm down a little bit. When Frank died, Michael just went crazy. Now, you think of Steve Jobs, and you think of Apple, you think of Pixar, maybe. But I don't know if you realize that in the late 90s, early 2000s, Steve Jobs and Michael Eisner got into a fight after Cars came out, and Steve Jobs and Michael Eisner says, we're not going to do partnerships together. I don't know where Disney would be today without Pixar being a part of their portfolio. But he was fighting. Michael Eisner was a combatant. He was like, I've got confidence. I'm going to run this company. I love this company. I'm going to take it to where it needs to go. His confidence got so big to where it turned into cockiness that he got ran out of town. And now enter Bob Iger, he's not the CEO now, but Bob Iger comes in. Here's this guy that has this confidence, because underneath Bob Iger, they bought Marvel, they bought Star Wars, they bought Pixar. I think the dude's got a little bit of confidence. They bought Fox movies, and it's like, oh my goodness, this guy's got confidence. But the one thing that Iger had that Eisner didn't was the idea that everybody was a person. So in the first 3 months that he was on the job, he won Steve Jobs over to sell Pixar to Disney. Okay, now you got to go back a few years and go Pixar and Disney fighting, Jobs and Eisner fighting. 3 months after Iger becomes CEO, Disney now owns Pixar. Why? How? Because Iger realized that confidence and humility are not at odds. They actually can work together. So we're going to walk through both of those words. So the first one, confidence. This is from Webster or from another dictionary too. Confidence is the faith or belief that one will act in the right way. I have confidence that Jonah is going to act in the right way, be here at a certain time, start the video camera the right way. I have confidence in that. Or I would get a little scared. But it's that we will act in the right way, proper or an effective way. Confidence is a reliance on one another's discretion. Think about that. Your parents, you have confidence maybe in your parents, I hope you do, because of their discretion, their decision making. Leaders that you've been around, or people that you've been around, or friends that you've been around, you have confidence in them when you know you can count on them, right? That's their discretion. So that's confidence. Let's give a couple facts about confidence. Actually, before we do that, let's talk humility. Humility is not proud or haughty. Humility is expressing or offering deference. Deference is that idea that I express that John Wood try to do every day. What would John Wood want me to do? But I also need to express deference in the way, what do you need me to do? So I'm expressing deference up, down, and across. I've even got to ask the question, I did this yesterday, what does Matt Dearden in admissions need me to do? What does John Wambold in PhD need me to do? I have to have that deference up, down, and across. So that's humility. So paradox number one. Now we're going to put them together, right? Uncommon leaders have this confidence, you know that they're going to get it done, and humility. So let's look at confidence first. Confidence, this is from Tim's book. People want you to be a confident leader. As our lives become more complicated and overwhelming, people feel they don't have time to research every decision they must make. Do you agree with that? And there are times that you just go to Google and you do what? How do I fix a lawnmower? You probably don't do that. I do that every day. How do I fix a lawnmower? Hey, the well is not working this morning. What are some helpful hints on how to get a well working? We'll go check the breaker. So like all those things, people want something that's confident. So I'm confident in Google at times, but people also want leaders that are confident. Why do you listen to people like in chapel? You want to listen and grow and develop. D.A. Carson this week. You want to listen because you got somebody there that you're like, okay, I can't study as much as that guy had because he's also in his 70s. But now how do I learn from that? How do I have confidence from that? So here's some confidence statements that Tim says in his book. Confidence is contagious. Think about that. Do you want to follow somebody that's like, yeah, well, this might work? Confidence is contagious. Hey, we're going to win tonight. Well, that didn't happen in Audrey's game last night. But confidence is a leader's passion and energy. When somebody's confident, that passion, that energy comes out in that. A confident leader passes on a sense of security to the team. That is key. If you're not confident as a parent, as a friend, your friends, your family, they feel insecure because like, hey, dad or mom, they don't know what to do. Or friend doesn't know what's going on. Or husband or wife doesn't know what's going on. Or employee doesn't know what's going on. Or boss doesn't. Confident leaders give security. A confident leader's sense of ownership expands to others. So the ownership of what we do in a job, I have confidence that our job is beneficial to the university. Hopefully that expands to you and you catch on that it's bigger than just answering phones or making coffee or setting wires up. It's bigger than all of that, but that becomes from a confidence leader's sense of ownership, taking ownership of the job. Think of Zach, probably where you were this summer. We talked about the owner of that company. And he probably had a lot of confidence, and that sense of ownership kind of passed on to the rest of the team. Hey, we're going to make our portfolios in a way that's biblical, and we're going to change our world because of that. A confident leader's assurance that something must be done spreads to others. When you're confident and you're secure, that gets to others and you're like, yep, let's go do it. All right, he said it, or she said it, we might as well go do it. That's confidence. A couple other statements on confidence. People will follow confident leaders. Think about that. Think about the last time that you had to follow somebody, either in theater, sports, music. If you were confident in that leader, and that leader, like, we know what we're doing, we're going, even if you're making the wrong decision, you've probably found yourself following that leader. A confident leader gets people to follow him. Confidence makes leadership believable. Think about that. If you're confident, you're selling something, right? And I don't mean this in a bad way. Sales tech people get looked at in a bad way. But when you're confident, you can sell it. So if I'm confident in what I believe, I can sell it. But so confidence makes your leadership believable. Confidence can also be dangerous when it becomes about my ego. You didn't do it this way. Look at how this made me look. I'd struggle with that. You messed up here. Now this person thinks this of me. Yeah, your confidence was great, but now your confidence, because somebody else didn't do their job, it becomes about your ego. And let me tell you, that's when your confidence becomes cocky and people go, bye-bye, I'm not following you. And that brings in humility. So Jim Collins wrote a book, Good to Great. He's a guru on business stuff. If you've ever come across the Jim Collins book, it's phenomenal. Humble leaders look in a mirror when something goes wrong and ask, hey, what could I have done better? Humble leaders look out a window when something goes well and goes, look at this team and look how awesome they're doing. You see the difference? So that humble leader, even if he didn't make or she didn't make the mistake, they're still the leader, so it's their responsibility. So if something doesn't go well on our job or our watch, it's my responsibility, and I've got to look at, okay, maybe I didn't train well enough, maybe I didn't give them enough equipment, maybe I didn't make sure they had clarity. But if something goes well, it's the leader's job to look at the tree and go, man, look at that apple, look at that orange. Granted, on different trees because you can't have multiple trees. But the idea is look at what that fruit is doing on that tree. That's a great team. Has nothing to do with the leader. But if there's a mistake, the leader needs to figure that out. All right, that just went away. So you're just going to have to follow with me. So, all right, so we're on humility right now. Humility makes your confidence believable. So humility signals self-awareness, all right? So if you have humility, you have self-awareness. Self-awareness or emotional intelligence is the ability to go, how does this person feel? How do I read them? That's emotional intelligence. Guess what your world needs now more than anything? It's called emotional intelligence. You can be smart up here. If you're dumb in here, you're in trouble. You've got to be able to know how to read people. So emotional intelligence is really important. So humility makes your confidence believable. Humility signals transparency, invites people to be honest with you. So when you're humble, you're like, hey, I'm transparent. Here's everything we're doing. Here's our budget. Here's what we want to do as a group. Now give me feedback. Humility also makes you magnetic. When somebody's humble, it's like, man, I kind of like being around him or her. Kind of like being around them. Humility welcomes team members to help you lead. Both old and young people desire humility. So if they did a research, and it was in the book, that Tim asked people, like, what kind of leaders do you want to follow? Even the people in their 80s said, we want to follow people that are humble. Now, my dad's age, my mom's age, probably your parents' age, not your parents' age, but more your grandparents' age, those people just worked at a job because you never quit your job, and it was all about getting the gold watch. It was all about retiring at the same company, getting the watch, getting the ring. You put your 50 years in at that company, and you're done. It's not the way the world works right now, right? You're looking for that leader. They're looking for those leaders that are confident and humble, that leader who will make you feel like you are important to the job and give you an opportunity to be in the job. That's what humility is. So some facts about humility. True humility is not thinking bad of yourself, but thinking of yourself as a member of the team, not the team. So there's an old saying, don't think of yourself less. Don't make less of yourself. Just don't think of yourself as often. Humility also recognizes that you need others. So in the book, he does a box at the end of each chapter that does the two paradoxes. So over here is our confidence, and over here is humility. So let's go through those paradoxes that he does. It's on page 39. Confidence makes your leadership believable. Humility makes my confidence believable. So confidence makes my leadership believable. Humility makes my confidence in my leadership believable. So because I'm humble, people will follow my confidence. Confidence communicates energy and certainty. Humility communicates trustworthiness. Confidence fosters creativity and participation. Humility fosters authenticity and participation. Confidence causes team members to be passionate. Humility causes team members to be loyal. So I want you to be passionate, but I also want you to be loyal because we got to work together. Confidence is contagious to others. In others, humility is contagious in others. So at the end of the book, he gives these things about how to do this. So page 39 and 40, there's about 7 to 8 of these, and then I'll be done and we can discuss it. When in decision-making meetings, argue if you believe you're right, but listen if you believe you're wrong. Confidence, right? I'm going to prove my point, but I'm going to listen with open ears. I'm going to wrestle with that and see if maybe I'm wrong. When in conflict with team members, be willing to lose a few battles to win the war. Predetermine what hills you're willing to die on. What are those things, those uncompromisable things that you're going to do? Remain teachable in new contexts, even from those under your care. Don't let your confidence prevent you from improving your own ideas. Refuse to cross the line between confidence and cockiness. Confidence believes you can do the job. Cockiness believes it will be easy. Don't confuse confidence with certainty. You'll frequently have to take action without certainty as a leader. Remember that. You will frequently have to take action as a leader without confidence. Even when uncertain, remain clear and transparent. Don't let humility become sheepishness. When sheepish, we are self-conscious, preoccupied with our own weaknesses. This keeps us from progress. Basically, don't have this masochistic idea of you got to tear yourself down because you don't want to look cocky or overconfident. Be who you are. Be who God created you to be. Let your light so shine, Matthew 5:16. As you meet with teammates, you must know what you don't know and trust in what you do. Be clear on the difference. What you don't know, what you do know. If you possess a strong ego on the job, take time to listen to your shortcomings and mistakes. Remind yourself of your humanity by reviewing these daily. If you struggle a little bit with wow, look how big and bad I am. Remind yourself daily of how weak you are without Christ. When tempted to boast about what you achieved, instantly turn your focus to a team member and brag about them. Let someone else do your boasting. That's why we do BZ commendations. Your job is to boast and brag on each other. Don't brag on yourself. The problem is if there's a void of people bragging on you, what do? Well, I got to fill that void. So that's the way that you could serve one another. That's why we have BZ commendations, is for that reason. So in a nutshell, you've got humility and you got confidence and humility. How do they work together? They do work together, and uncommon leaders make them both work. One or the other, you're going to fall apart. You've got to have them both.